called gas colic, and that just means that the horse gets a little bit of extra gas in their intestine. It makes them feel kind of full, and they get some gut spasms. Other kinds of colic that are really common are things like impactions, where the horse gets some dry feces stuck in their colon. Horses can get twisted pieces of intestine, or their intestine can get displaced into the wrong location. Sand, if horses are eating from the floor and eating large amounts of sand, or also gastric ulcers if they get ulcers in their stomach that make them real painful when they eat. Some of the most common causes that we see when people change a horse's feed suddenly, horses that maybe don't drink as much as they should do if the weather gets hot, or they're taken to new places where they don't drink normally. Moldy feeds or bad feeds. Other things that we worry about are horses that haven't been regularly wormed and they have high worm loads or parasite burdens. And then again in California, one of the most common causes of colic that we see is enteroliths, where horses eat an all-alfalfa diet and they form large stones which can block their intestines. So one of the most common things is that horses will roll. They'll get down and lay down more often than normal, or you'll see them rolling on the ground. Often horses will pretend to urinate frequently. They'll stretch out and act as if they're going to urinate, but they won't actually urinate a full stream. Sometimes they'll curl their lip up. Watching your horse's manure output is really important too, because a reduction in manure output can also be a sign of colic. So if you think your horse is showing signs of colic, it's really, really important that your horse is examined by a vet. So that's probably the first thing that you should do if you have any concerns about your horse colicking. Take the vital signs, and following that, it's important that you listen to the horse's gut sounds, using a stethoscope if you have one. So to listen to the gut sounds, you need to listen on both sides of the flank. So we listen in 4 sites. Firstly up here, secondly down here, and then the same 2 locations on the other side. And what you're listening for is just regular gurgling of the guts. You should hear pretty much continuous gurgling noise. Certainly people talk a lot about walking horses, and if your horse is just mildly uncomfortable, just giving them 15 to 20 minutes of walking can be good. It can sometimes help them to pass some gas and make them a bit more comfortable. However, if your horse is really uncomfortable and trying to lie down and he's just lying quietly, sometimes it's better just to let them lie in a place where they're not going to hurt themselves. Have a good routine for your horse. Make sure that you feed your horse a good diet and you try and keep them on a good schedule. When you get, for example, a new batch of hay, you should check it, pull it out, smell it, make sure it doesn't have too many weeds, and try not to feed your horse too much grain is important. Horses basically in the wild live on an all forage diet, so trying not to give them too much grain a day. Other things that are important are making sure your horse always has access to fresh water, fresh clean water, making sure your horse has a good worming schedule, making sure your horse has its teeth floated regularly so that they can chew normally, access to pasture if you can, or at least some regular daily turnouts so that they can self-exercise, or if you're riding them, making sure they have regular daily exercise. Avoiding change if we can in their diet, changing their exercise routine, trying to keep consistency with the hay. So trying to buy as many bales of hay as that we're able to, so that we're trying to avoid changing from one batch of hay to another as frequently as we can.